So hello my friends, Devaun Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, I want to go over and do a brief overview of the different mounting and hanging options available for your Bayphoto prints. All right, so here we are doing a follow-up video to the video that we just recorded, which was going to be documenting the different surfaces that are available, but there also are a lot of mount options available as well when it comes to how you're going to actually put these on a wall or display these in your home, your office, your studio, wherever you may be displaying these images. But ultimately, I wanted to cover some of the the easiest ones to mount and why I chose the mounting options that I did. So when it comes to mounts, you can either have the print or your acrylic or your metal print in these cases. You can have them flush to the wall, or you can have them float off the wall by a half of an inch, an inch. I think the maximum is 2 inches. So it depends how far off the wall you want to have the float or the print be separated. To have a little bit more separation, depends how big the print is as well. If it's a super big print, you may not want it to be flush against the wall. It may just be a little awkward. But ultimately, those are the two options, whether you want it to be flush or you want it to be some separation. As someone that shoots, and we have a lot of prints here at PhotographyPX, my personal preference, this is a personal preference, but my personal preference is having them off the wall, just because it gives that separation. It gives that kind of almost like a 3D effect. We have a print right over here that I was looking at, but it gives that 3D effect. When it's flush on the wall, it just doesn't have the same impact, but it also, if you're doing kind of like if you guys look over here in the background, you'll see that I have this kind of gallery display over there. With something like that, that makes sense to have these flush rather than have them set off the wall, just because you're gonna see the shadows here, which may not be a good situation if it's in that configuration. But if it's just if it's just an image that, if you're seeing the canvas over here, if it's just something like that, typically having it float is gonna be the best and the preferred setting for or configuration for that. But let me show you guys the options that are available. So when it comes to having the prints flush on the wall, basically they're going to drill holes in the prints. Now you can do between 2 or 4 holes. Whether you do 2 or 4 is just really personal preference. I would say that's more so determined on how big the print is, and whether it's going to be in landscape or portrait configuration. Now for portraits, basically essentially what you're going to do, I use coarse screws. I don't know what the size for the coarse screws are, but I will put that information in the description below. I will look at that after this video, and I'll put that in the description below what size I actually use. But I use coarse screws, and the benefit of using coarse screws is that they support a lot of weight, and they're not your typical normal screws that you find at Home Depot. You can get them at Home Depot, but they're not the typical screws that you find. These ones are specifically designed to hold, depending on the screws themselves, 10, 15, 20 pounds per screw. So basically why I use those is because even if you have one of those screws in any of these, you're pretty much good. It's holding up this entire shelf right here. I have 2 screws in that entire shelf, and it's holding up that entire shelf. That entire bookcase is just 2 screws. The coarse screws are fantastic. I will leave that description below. Since it can obviously hold up that much weight, holding up these prints, no issue at all. It holds 40 pounds, no problem. But essentially what you're going to do is basically just drill holes into those. Now, like I said before, if you do two holes or you do 4 holes, it's going to be determined on the size of your print. For an 8x10, you can easily just get away with just 2 coarse screws up here and just mount down the wall. You're good to go. If it's going to be more of a full landscape, you know, we're talking 24x40, 24x60, 48x60, and it's taking up a whole wall. At that point, I would definitely say do 4 if you're going to have it flush on the wall. But essentially, those are the most easy and simple flush on the wall configurations. 2 or 4 screws drilled directly into the print. I'm moving this over here. I'm getting fingerprints all over these. The next thing is going to be what they call their legacy mount. Essentially, their legacy mount is a 1/2 inch float hanger. Now there are different sizes of the float. This is just the 1/2 inch, but essentially what happens is the float, this section right here, this backing, gets further and further and further away from the wall. There are different configurations and settings that you can pick in Bayphoto or the online configuration to set that up. But ultimately, this is what you're doing, and the legacy is just basically this right here. For something this small, an 8x10 print, one coarse screw right here, you are good. You do not need two coarse screws, one coarse screw on here, and then you can adjust it to basically make sure that it's level, you're done. It's super easy hanging. We may do a video on hanging, but it's very, very easy to hang these if you get these configurations. But those are the generic, those are like the easiest when it comes to if you're a beginner, you're someone that's new, oh my God, I'm going to be getting my first print, like, what should I do? If you're in that situation, I would just encourage you, get the 1/2-inch float, spend the extra $10, get the 1/2-inch legacy float, one screw in the back right here, and then you can just position it to make sure that it's nice and level, and you're done. It is that simple to hang these. It is beautiful, it's easy. If you want it to be flush, I would definitely say get 2 screws, depending on the size, get 4 screws, and then just put the first screw in the corner, level it, put the second screw, and then put in your remaining 2 screws, and you're done. It is very, very, very easy to mount these and put these up. We have a lot of prints here at PhotographyPX. We have a dozen prints. We have a lot of artwork. So it's very easy to put these up. Coarse screws, those will be in the description in the box below if you want to see the specific screws that I'm using to do that. They're just typical screws that you can get at Home Depot. There are a certain kind of configuration for them, but that will be in the description down below. But this is kind of all I wanted to cover for this video. If you're a beginner, just like I said before, just get the 1/2-inch float, the legacy mount, and you're done. If you want it flush, just get the 2 or 4 screws as needed. But I do hope that helps and that adds a little bit of value when it comes to, okay, what kind of, how do I put these on my wall? What should I put? Ask yourself, do I want this to be flush on the wall? If not, then get this configuration and you're done. Doesn't matter what the size is, this configuration will work for a landscape or a portrait for the most part. There are going to be multiple of these openings depending on how big it is, but it will be fine. So I hope that answers any questions that you guys have there. Stay tuned for a giveaway that we will be doing here at PhotoPX. We will be giving you guys probably a 16x20. I will purchase that for you. So we will at least taking your print or your images for submission at some point here in the next month or 2 months. And I want to say thank you again, Bayphoto, for sending us these samples. We are very excited to have these. I look forward to decorating PhotographyPX with these. We'll probably put some over here. But I hope this answered any questions, and we will see you in the next video, my friend. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you found the contents of today's video insightful and added value to you. If you're new here, please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Also, leave us a like and a comment in the description down below. let us know if I overlooked something or I missed something covered in today's video. This is Devaun Lennox. You know where to find us. Photography. Peace.